Hi, I'm Robert Osborne, and welcome. So glad you could join us. For the next several hours, we're going to pay tribute to classic movie animation, movies which were made for showing in movie theaters, but haven't been seen in theaters or on television for years. We'll bring you some examples of early animated films and shorts, some as early as 1907, all the way up to the 1950s. And here to help me introduce our collection of rare animation is a man who's written 15 books on animated movies and shorts, including the Animated Movie Guide. He's a blogger at cartoonbrew.com. He's also a producer and former studio executive, and certainly an authority on all things animation. And that's Jerry Beck. Welcome, Jerry.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good to have you here. Now, our first example of rare animation is the 1939 version of Gulliver's Travels, released by Paramount Pictures. Now, why is this so rare?
It's rare because it's not a Disney film, and it came out in the shadow of Snow White. You know,
which was actually the first animated movie, right?
First Hollywood animated feature film. And it was such an enormous success. It was the Star Wars, the Avatar of its day. And every studio in Hollywood wanted to do their own version of some kind of follow-up of it. MGM, of course, did The Wizard of Oz as their response to Snow White. Fox did The Bluebird. Paramount decided, we have an animation studio, the second best to Disney, the Fleischer Studio. We're going to empower them to make an animated feature. But the film, you know, it didn't have the same push, the same feel that the Disney films had. And it's kind of paled in comparison. The reality is it's a great movie. You know, you look at it and it's totally entertaining. There are memorable characters. A lot of people like myself who might have seen it when I was a child on television, we remember Gabby, we remember some of the characters in it and some of the incidents. It's a very memorable and wonderful film.
And tell us a little about the Fleischer Studios.
Max Fleischer, who ran the Fleischer Studios, was one of the pioneers of animation. He invented something called the rotoscope back in 1917. This is a device that's still used today to trace live-action photography and mimic it as animation. And you'll see that in Gulliver. Gulliver himself is a live-action person who's been traced over and looks like an animated cartoon now. That's the rotoscope, and that's what put him on the map. He started a series of cartoons called Coco the Clown, which were very popular in the silent era. And then in the 30s, when sound came in, he created Betty Boop, and they did the Popeye cartoons, which were sensations.
Now, he did Gulliver's Travels as a feature, and he did Mr. Bug Goes to Town that we have coming up a little later. Those were his only two feature-length films, that were animated? Why didn't he make more like Disney did?
Well, two reasons. One was the two features he made weren't as financially successful at the box office. That's part of it. The other reason is that Max Fleischer didn't own his studio like Disney did. Fleischer was beholden to Paramount. Paramount had funded his animation studio through the 30s and loaned them so much money to keep it going and to pay for the shorts in advance and this kind of thing, that by the time they made Mr. Bug, relations strained.
So he was cut off.
He was cut off, and they actually removed him, and Paramount took over his studio completely, and the Fleischer brothers left it.
Did he stay in the animation business elsewhere, though?
Yes, he did some independent films. He did a Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer short that was shown for many years. He taught animation and basically retired after that.
Well, let's see the film. Interesting movie. I remember it very well as a kid. Here's the movie, a premiere for us here on TCM. Movie directed by Dave Fleischer. From 1939, Gulliver's Travels.